Hi, you guys. It is Mary Thomas Real Estate Group with Remax Professionals, joining you today for another Digging a Bit Deeper. And I have my great friends, Tracy and Jennifer. Jennifer with Guild Mortgage, and then Tracy
Hello.
for Centennial. Today, you guys, we wanted just to give a quick little tips on what is the importance of running numbers before you put in that offer, and what is the importance of running the numbers before you put your house on the market. What do we mean by that? Well, let's start with you, Jennifer. If we're going to be putting in an offer, what do I mean by running numbers before we actually submit?
So once you have a borrower who's approved, they're going to go, out with you, find a home, and then we want them to actually let us know, call us back and say, okay, I found this house, I want to make an offer. That allows me to really dial my numbers in, like what are the actual property taxes, or does the home have an HOA? Then I can actually execute a whole new worksheet and send it back to the borrower so they can see what their true monthly payment's going to be and what their total funds out of pocket are. That's super important because there can be a swing from home to home, not only on the purchase price, but the taxes and the HOA that can really impact that monthly payment. And the borrower needs to make sure that that payment's in their monthly budget. My job is to say, you're approved for this, but the borrower has to make that decision and go, do I really want that monthly payment, and make sure it's in the budget. That's really, really important. So there can be times that, we may run 15 different worksheets for a borrower on 15 different houses, but that's okay. It gives them the information that they need right at the beginning before they get in the contract. So it's super important.
And I know it's a fast-paced world, and I know you do run those net sheets for us, the payment sheets for us. What we're talking about numbers and why sometimes it might go from a couple hundred different a month might just be taxes alone. So if you have a house that's early 2000s, the taxes might be about $2,000 a year. If you have a brand new house, 1 year old, it might be $6,000 for taxes alone. So that's a couple $100 difference on your payment.
Right.
The other thing is, if you're looking at a stick-built house versus a modular home, the taxes on a modular home are way higher, or your payment is higher than on a stick-built home. And there's for a reason. So we can't just say you're approved for $550 and your payment's going to be this. Each house is, again, that little fingerprint, very unique. Each one is very unique. So the importance of your agent's job and your lender's job is to run those numbers for you so that you're sitting there writing the offer and you can talk about it and think clearly. I know it's a fast-paced world, but if we didn't do that, what's going to end up happening is possibly we get in contract, oh, it's $200 more a month than we originally thought, and now we have to back out of the contract, and we're terribly disappointed, and it's hard at that point. So it's better to know before you even submit and get excited, and then finally your offer gets accepted and you have to back out. That'd be very, very sad and harsh for the sellers too, because even though it's such a strong seller's market, when there's so many people through the house and so many offers to look through, it's not easy on them either. So it's just hard on both sides. And I do agree with running the numbers to make sure that you're comfortable before. And I promise Jennifer and I do not mind running those numbers and talking about it for hours if we need to make sure we're comfortable of where we're going to submit. I know there's so many offers on hand, and you're trying to strategically see, how do I write this offer the best and get it? But that doesn't help anybody if we didn't do it properly and you're overpaying monthly for your comfort level, or overpaying. So any last tips on that for the buyers?
Just don't hesitate to reach out. Always get those numbers up front. Honestly, it takes us just a couple minutes to pull the taxes, see if there's an HOA, put the numbers together, and then shoot out a worksheet. So it's worth the time.
Again, I'm hearing she doesn't mind to make
No.
A little bit of a same theory here for the sellers before we get too excited and put our house on the market. I think it's really important to know, what are you going to net? How much do you owe on the home? what are you going to do? So this again takes several hours and sometimes months to plan everything. And I know that I lean heavily on title for this when we're going over numbers with sellers. It's important to do that because you can't just think, oh, I'm going to get this much for my house. And you got to know what other homes are going for. What's your destination? Where are you going? Are we netting enough to make sure you're not homeless? So I know you do some stuff for me, Tracy, quite a bit. Take it over.
Yes, I think it's very important, just like it is for the buyer, but for the seller to be comfortable with what they net and to really look. I mean, there's cases like right now, for instance, I personally was going to sell my house and then build. But after I really looked into it, the cost of the building with the taxes, how they go up so new with the new construction, that's not what I wanted to do. So instead I refinanced with Jennifer. And now I'm remodeling and I'm really happy about that. So we lowered our payment, great rates, and you're doing that. So as a seller, you really got to think about where you're going and what your bottom line is that you need to get there. So is research. If they think they're going to sell and do that, they really need to look at where they plan and intend to move, especially in this market because it's hard to find something. But what we do is we actually sit down and look. Once the seller figures out what that magical amount is, we'll plug in all the figures that we know on our side. There will be some different figures once you get a buyer because they're going to have stuff that comes in and it could change it slightly. But for our side, it's going to be pretty straight ahead. Are you going to want to pay all the transfer tax or are you going to split it? Normally you pay the owner's policy. Are you going to do that or do you want everything split? So whatever you're going to look at, what do you intend to pay in commissions, that stuff. And we figure it all out down to the penny. And then we, if you don't know your payoff, you can call and get that. But if you don't, I actually have a little program that can guesstimate, and it's pretty accurate, when you got your loan, what your interest rate is, and basically where your payoff is. But if you made principal reductions, it's not going to show that. So it's best if you can call your lender, and then we can really dial it in and show what you're. But we're happy to do that too, because there is nothing worse than you sold your house, you have to move, and you have nowhere to go. Yeah. Or you don't like where you're going. It's not what you thought, and you really want to stay. So definitely, talk to Mary, call us, and we'll be more than happy to work out what that bottom line is. So and then you investigate. So you know where you're at. You're not pushing something you're not ready for. Just like a buyer, they get caught up, especially right now. Everybody's trying to go for this house, and it's kind of like an auction. Right? They want to win, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute.
What happened?
HOA.
We have so many success stories of, yes, it happened just how we planned. And that's really what we want to hear instead of what the happened. And I love that you put that in there, Tracy, of sometimes it's not always best, and you can remodel where you're at with refinancing. Maybe staying is your best option. And I have told a few people this year already, after talking, running net sheets, getting them from title, what has ended up happening is the best thing for them was to stay where they were, but make it new and nice again. Because really they didn't want to totally move. They just wanted a new modern home. So it isn't always that you need to sell your house. There is times where I will tell you, is this what you really want, or is this what you want? Because this is the option here, and that might not be these are the options in this price category. And then you're like, oh, let me stay where I'm at. I love everything about it. So it really is where we don't want you to move if it's not a great option. And I love that you guys can reach out to Jennifer or Tracy, and both of them have the same attitude that if it's not in your best interest, they will not do it. For some reason, if you're not already talking to me, but you wanted to run that with Tracy or Jennifer, how would they get a hold of you if they're buying and want to start investigating what their mortgage might look like?
Certainly. Best number to reach me on is my cell, 338-5059.
And Tracy, how about you if they're thinking of selling and want to get a little bit of a net sheet there?
The best number, as well as my cell, and that's 775-230-0421. And please reach out. We'd be happy to run the numbers.
And if you're buying or selling and just want to shoot me a call to talk, my number is 775-682-1973. Thank you, ladies, again for being here. Great knowledge to put forth and hopefully help some people make informed decisions, and so they don't have a mistake in the future. And again, thank you for digging a little deeper on this subject with me. Till next time. Bye, you guys.
Bye.